Well, hello there. And what's this? Well, it appears I've possessed a doll. Oh, I thought something happened. I thought it broke. Oh, yeah. Actually, before I came up with being a cat, I was thinking about being a haunted doll. I don't know how to get more of myself. That's as much as I can figure out how to get you to see. But yeah. Wow, wow, wow. What was I talking about again? Oh, that's okay. Uh-oh. I don't know if I could play that if I'll get the uh DMCA takedown! What? Dude, that's Scotty! It hits me and go ah. I think though, like after Halloween, I might still keep up having like the doll like the joints and stuff. I think it's neat. What am I doing? I can't keep a straight thought. Trying to figure out how big I could be. La la la. Oh yeah! And then a last time here. Let's start this up so it doesn't keep doing that. um Continue. A quick load. Yeah, that looks about right. Yes. Yes, let's load this one. Oh yeah, and then last time, let's do a little recap. I took notes. So I could keep it all together. Okay, so last time we learned about GE rate. And it's when the universal gravitation is off. Oh yeah, GE rate stands for gravitation error. Oh yeah, and then so like the detectives were talking about that, and and they're like, so like we could predict the next new gen murder this way. Um, if they figure out, because like they do a bunch of math to figure out uh what it's gonna be, or yeah. Um, and then we watched a video uploaded to YouTube, and oh yeah, and it had the group dive, which was speculated to be the first of the new gen murders. Um, and it was confirmed because they said the whose eyes are those, which was said in the vampire so then everyone's like, oh whoa, it's it is the new gen. Oh whoa. So then they were freaking out. But then Takumi was also freaking out because he heard Shogun's wheelchair. Um so then yeah, that that happened. And then later Takumi was in school and he was like, so I think we could project our delusions into other people's heads. Um and I think he went and looked that up at his house when he got there. But like before he went to look it up, he was like gonna be on his way home, but then he saw Yua uh and she's trying to diagnose us with stuff. So we ran away. Uh, but like, and then I guess he threw up because he was really stressed about like life and stuff. Um, and then Remy came over and helped us out, and then now and now Takumi is like looking up that theory he had, and then he was talking about like how he needs a D sword, and so now he's looking at uh the fake one he got, but he doesn't really know it's fake. Or maybe, oh no, wait, no, he knows it's fake now, I'm pretty sure. Oh, look at how little I am. Ooh. Look at how big I am. Okay, 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 okay. Meow, 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 meow. I don't know if I'm lined up, but that's probably okay. Now I'm gonna turn it up a little. Yeah. I went and picked up the D sword. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry about that. Oh. Hold on. um. I think. Oh. Mm. Okay, okay. Well, we'll just. Uh, uh, we'll be. I've done it once. Mm. Oh, there we go. Eh. Oh, beans. Okay, well, mm, it's fine. I went to pick up the toy D sword in the corner of the room. I stood in the middle of the room and held it out in front of me in the best approximation of an ESO character that I could do. Okay, time to envision a sword! Remy was looking at me. Our eyes met. What are you laughing at? She was grinning. I could feel my face getting warm. I'd pick up the sword and pose with it, forgetting that there was somebody else in the room with me. In Mimi's eyes, I must have looked like a total weirdo, maybe. Crap. I put down the sword. I was too embarrassed to look at her. I wanted to be anywhere in the world but where I was standing right now. Or maybe I could just get her to pretend she'd never seen it. I was willing to beg if I had to. But Remy decided just to make things worse. I shook my head. Again, I shook my head. I nodded. Fiercely! Yeah. I shook my head back and forth violently. I just told her I wasn't pretending to fight. Because I'm embarrassed, obviously. She'd seen something I really didn't want her to see. This must be what it felt like when a girlfriend found her boyfriend's porn. She was disgusted by me. This was the worst. I had to find some way to help her realize it was a misunderstanding. Oh, well, at least it was cute, right? She picked up the Saritan body pillow that was next to my computer chair and was hugging it tightly. I thought she was making fun of me, but from the way she was acting, she was serious. Did that mean that Remy had found me moe for a second? I was relieved. She hadn't started hating me. She hadn't started hating me. Good.
どこで買ってきたの？高かったんじゃない？1万円。渋谷の雑貨屋で。へえ、1万円か。安いのか高いのかわからないけど。でもそんな大きなおもちゃが普通に売ってるんだね。私、そんな大きなのを直接見たのって初めて。その雑貨屋さんに売ってるっていうのは誰かに教えてもらったの？
She was really interested in this. Was she interested in swords like these? Maybe she was secretly an otaku herself. She kind of made fun of me while I was holding it, but maybe she actually wanted one of her own. Wow, that's totally tsundere. Lol.
自分で調べた。ネットで。ネットか。すごいな。何でも情報が手に入るんだね。私は全然ダメ。パソコンなんてろくに使えないよ。で、その剣って流行ってるの？
No, they're not.
なんで？タクはどうしてそれを買おうと思ったのかなって。
Should I tell her the truth? If she was going to stay with me, she might end up looking for the real D-sword with me, too. Maybe I should tell her.
これは偽物だけど。 本物があるんだ。
本物？
Rimi seemed a little confused.
本物を持ってる人を僕知ってるんだ。2人いる。同じ学校の女子。
女子ね。女の子がこんなおもちゃを欲しがるかな。
Yeah. What?
本当なんだ。それにおもちゃじゃない。
あ、ごめん。
本物は光るんだ。それにすごい存在感で。
They light up like the shoes when you run and the shoes light up.
僕それを探してる。それさえ手に入れれば僕は救われるんだ。
救われるって。
Rimi looked surprised by what I was saying, but I was totally serious. Having a D-sword would give me a way to fight back against Shogun.
それで
Huh? Huh? I want you to help me find it, is what I wanted to say. But the thought of her saying no made me scared that I couldn't ask. I threw the fake sword down on the ground and sat on the sofa. Then I sighed and closed my eyes. Maybe Rimi would volunteer to help me find it? That'd make things much easier. Maybe it was too much to hope for. But Rimi had appeared out of nowhere to help me before when I needed her most. So maybe...
とにかく、もし本物があったとしても、それこそ買ったりしちゃダメだよ。今タクが持ってるのはおもちゃだからいいけど、本物ってことは銃刀法違反になっちゃうんだから。
They're illegal. My hopes were mercilessly dashed. Sob, Rimi, I'm disappointed in you. Well, her reaction was one of the most... One was the one most people would have. The only reason I felt differently... Ooh, hello! Oh! There we go. Halloween time! Yeah! Yippee! How's it going? The only reason I felt differently was because after all the weird things that happened over the past few weeks, I believed what Senna and Ayase said. I just have to find the D-sword myself.
それでタク。
I could feel Rimi standing down beside me.
その本物の剣を持ってる女子って誰かな？
Her voice was coming right next to me. She was sitting right beside me. We were alone in a dark room, just the two of us, and she was sitting right next to me. Emergency! We have an emergency here.
タクに女子の知り合いが私以外にいたなんてちょっとびっくり。
Yeah.
もしかして彼女？
Did she have to ask that? Was she trying to tempt me? Maybe. Why was she talking about girlfriends? Was she maybe going to tell me she wanted to be my girlfriend? And then there'd be a romantic mood between us and then... No, I wasn't ready for that. I opened my eyes and shook my head. Both Ayase and Senna were very mysterious. Also, a little crazy, probably. If they were 2D characters, they'd be really moe, but not in 3D. Yeah, especially Senna. Just talking to her terrified me. She felt like she could beat me up at any moment. I didn't want to get involved with her at all if I could avoid it.
そっか。ちょっと安心したかな。
Teehee.
え
Aw. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did she just say? Oh crap, my whole body froze. This was leading where I thought it was, right? I don't know, you gotta ask before you do anything, okay? She meant what I thought she meant, right? She was trying to get me to say something here, right? What was I supposed to say? Was I supposed to give her the answer she wanted to hear? I mean, I liked the idea. But I didn't know if I was up for dating a 3D girl. I glanced over at Remy, unsure of what to say. And she's glowing. Oh, you just got that glow about you. Wait. You can't sit like that. It's not fair. She was just sitting with her legs up in that short skirt. Miss Sakihara? I think I can almost see your panties. Okay. Actually, depending on the angle, it almost looked like she wasn't wearing any at all. Oh my gosh. Just like my eyes kept heading toward the triangle at the base of her thighs. Her piece. Oh my gosh, this guy. I tried desperately not to give in to. Yeah. The way she was sitting reminded me of the cover of a famous H game. Do you think about anything else? It was called Throwaway Sister. Oh. And it was famous enough to get an anime. Its first edition package had the heroine sitting just like Remy was now. That illustration was so moe. I'd even used it as my PC wallpaper for a while.
ねえ、タク。
はい。
Crap! I let my panic show in my voice. But you can't blame me, right? There was a 3D girl right next to me, looking up at me questioningly. It's so cute, I'm going to die. Oh, Moe! She's not even 2D. But even though my libido was roaring at full power, Remy's next words were...
タクは自分の未来を考えたことある？
え？
例えば、人を含めて全ての生き物は生きてるだけで何かを傷つけてるんだよ。
There was sorrow in her voice. What was she trying to say?
わかる？
だから。
Yeah, okay.
だからね。無理しないでいいからね。
Did she mean I didn't have to force myself to go to school? Or that I shouldn't force myself to spend hours grinding in ESO and instead try to lead a healthier lifestyle? Or maybe even that I shouldn't force myself to stay in control. And if I wanted to take her right here, I could? What? Nah, that last one was impossible. Yeah. She stretched expansively, then jumped up to her feet. The hem of her skirt was waving right in front of me.
私、喉乾いてきちゃった。何か飲み物ある？
I stood up and headed over to where the fridge was. I looked down in the fridge. I had a thing of soda, but I'd already drank from it. Giving it to her would be weird.
ないなら買ってこようかな。コンビニって深センの駅前にあったよね。
I could sense Remy standing up behind me.
ちょっと行ってくる。
Oh. Bye. She smiled and left the room without waiting for my answer. She was ready to get the heck out of there. Being alone with a girl was exhausting. Okay, well, I guess, like, being the way that you are. And Remy, I didn't know if she realized it or not. Probably not, because she acted sometimes. What? But the way she acted sometimes was bad for my heart.
Kunka.
I like onomatopoeias. I sniffed the area of the room. Yep, stinky in here. I bet there's mold. It smelled like flowers. At least it seemed like it did. This was what a girl smelled like. This was Remy's scent. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Okay, calm down.
最低だ。
Yes, you are. I sunk into my chair, disgusted at myself. Good. I was supposed to be sitting here terrified of Shogun Oniwa, and now I was all excited. I decided to do some more research on mind reading while Remy was out on her run to the store. I turned towards the PC and noticed that Grimm was in the chat room, calling for me. I sighed and entered the chat room. You're finally here. You took way too long, Nightheart. My mind's been going, whose eyes are those this whole time? Thanks to you. Damn it. What does it even mean to go, whose eyes are those? You just wanted to say that. Every time I see those words, it scares me. Oogie, 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 boogie. Ooh, I'm so scared. Ooh. New gen stuff, of course. It happened. The 5th murder. Again. I felt the same dark terror I always felt, but I also felt confused. I had felt sure Shogun and Oniwa were going to come after me next, but instead they gone after someone else. Of course. It was hard to say if I should be happy about that or not. Want to know more? It's the top page of Taboo News. You'll find it easy if you look. When today did it happen? They found the body last night. They found the body last night, but the victims died the day before. This is another crazy one. You see, they took out the guy's brain. Ow! I panicked as Grimm started. I panicked as Grimm started to give me the details without any warning. I'd already heard and seen enough disgusting stuff. I didn't even want to hear about it. If I did, I might end up imagining it happening to me. even have my D-sword yet, either. Yeah, doesn't he know? Don't you know? I want my D-sword, come on. But Grim continued oblivious. And here's where it gets really scary. How do you think they died? Malnutrition? They survived losing their brain. What? My body shook with fear. I pulled my knees close to me and wrapped my arms around them. I didn't want to hear any more. Just please, leave me alone. My HP was already at 0. They might have been stuck like that for over... Stop talking. They might have been stuck like that for over a week with no brain. They can't eat and can't drink, so their body was just rotted away from malnutrition. Ad-chan already named it brain dead. They're calling it LOL. Those guys picked the best names. And here's the funny part. The guy was a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist losing his brain. Talk about ironic. A psychiatrist looking at the words made my heart race. Maybe I was overthinking things, but I didn't want to know. But part of me felt like I had to. I hesitated for a long time, but finally I clicked the link about the brain dead story on top of Taboo News. The body of a man found in Shibuya, 5th new gen case? Fumio Takashina, 41, a psychiatrist at Tokyo General Hospital, was found collapsed on a Shibuya street early in the morning of the 23rd. Police have stated that he died from malnutrition. I thought that was it. The police stated that he died. The end. Just kidding. Mr. Takashina's skull had been clearly cut open and the brain removed. The police stated that there was a possibility that the body had remained alive after the brain's removal, in a state similar to brain death. Investigations revealed that Takashina had been absent from work starting the 10th of this month. Shibuya has always been the subject of national attention since last month, when a series of bizarre murders called New Gen Madness. Yeah, and then we all know, we know all the rest of that. Aha! The victim's name was Fumio Takashina. It was Dr. Takashina. Dr. Takashina had been killed. They were taunting me. Shogun was clearly taunting me. He killed Dr. Takashina, the man I was counting on to help me, just to scare me more. I screamed. My head felt like it was tearing itself apart. I was going crazy. Wow! Oh yeah, that's right, she left. Dang it. I looked around the room for Mimi. I kept looking and looking and looking. She wasn't there. She wasn't here. She wasn't here. Why wasn't she here? She'd left to go to the store. I felt the ground. I fell to the ground, head in my hands.
僕を助けて、リミ。助けてよ。どこにも行かないで。頼むよ。
She's back just in time. There was an answer. I gasped and looked up, and Remy was standing right next to me, holding a bag from the store.
リミ。
She was back. Relieved, I stretched out a hand. Remy crouched down and took it with both hands. The last time I touched them, Remy's hands were cold. But now they were so warm.
ここにいる。私はここにいるから。怯えないで。
Remy smiled gently at me and wiped my tears away with her fingers. All 10 of them on each eye. I was really pathetic. Oh, but aren't you all the time? Crying, screaming, being afraid like this in front of a girl? But Remy said she'd be with me anyway. Right now, the only thing keeping my mind from shattering was this warmth. I didn't want to let go of this hand, not until I had the D sword. Pshum. Something very strange is happening at Mayashida Park in the depths of night. Whose eyes are those? 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 Excuse me, whose eyes? Whose eyes are those? Oh my god, whose eyes are those? Oh. A large group was huddled in the middle of the park. There were at least 100 people there, probably more. Most of them were in their teens. Some were in their high school uniforms, while others were girls wearing fashionable clothes. Because that's the only people that can wear fashionable clothes. Just kidding. I guess in this guy's eyes. There's a little fly in here, and it keeps flying in front of my eyes. Fly away, fly. There were boys wearing otaku-style glasses, too. Oh. And even kangaroo girls, a rare sight to see these days. From a distance, it looked like some kind of local event, but if you got up close, you'd realize just how strange it was. Everyone was looking down at the ground with blank stares on their faces. There were so many people here, but nobody was talking to each other. They were just standing there, unmoving. Everyone was smiling, a little as they mumbled and muttered to themselves. They were all endlessly repeating the same words. Whose eyes are those? Oh, whose eyes are those? There was no emotion in their voices. The words came out of the mouths of 100 people, flat and toneless, as a monk reciting a santra. Of course, there was almost nobody else in the park, probably because they didn't want anything to do with the strange crowd. The women cutting through the park on the way from work, the old ladies walking their dogs, they all turned and ran when they saw this bizarre sight. There was one man, though, who was watching them carefully. He seemed to have some involvement with the group, but he was standing a good distance away. He was wearing an outfit that would have fit right in at Akihabara. A plaid shirt, jeans, beat-up sneakers, fingerless gloves, a red bandana with a huge green backpack on his back. He was probably overweight, and his shirt buttons... Oh. Okay. And his shirt buttons seemed like they might burst at any moment. It was late October, so the weather was cold, but he was sweating and constantly wiping his forehead with a hand towel. He seemed worried about something, as every few seconds he would look around and check over his shoulder. Between these checks, though, he would let his shoulders sway and grin with joy. There was another sound at the park alongside the strange chatting coming from the group. It was the sound of some kind of machinery? And it was coming from his backpack. Oh, machinery! Another teen came to the park. This one, a teenage girl in an unbuttoned blazer. She walked right toward the rest of them, showing no signs of fear at the strange chanting. Her long black hair flowed in the wind. With every step she took, for some reason, she had a half-eaten popsicle in her hand. The group ignored her completely. They were lost in their own world, endlessly repeating the same phrase over and over. The fact that they ignored her didn't seem to bother her at all. When she got closer to the group, she suddenly stopped. She stopped for a moment, eating her popsicle with an air of indifference. You could hear the sound of crunching ice from her mouth when she took a bite. When she finished her popsicle, she looked at the stick, then grunted in frustration and threw it on the ground. Her gaze was sharp as she examined each individual in the crowd. Yeah, who am I? The man with the backpack screamed as if he couldn't take it anymore. The girl Senna Aoi, am I saying that right? Aoi? The girl Senna Aoi? Aoi? Yeah. Aoi? Aoi? Had noticed that she was the only person paying attention to her. She snorted dervishly, deservedly at him, and then suddenly crossed her arms and stretched them out in front of her. The space around her hand seemed to blur slightly, and the fuzzy outline of a metallic pole began to appear out of thin air. It passingly seemed a hoe or maybe a shovel, but it didn't really look like either of them. It was a sharp blade that split just above the handguard. The blur faded away, and the weapon became solid. Senna grabbed it tight with both hands. But that wasn't all. Both ends of the blade she was holding, as well as the space off to its right side, began to glow with the blue light. Wham! More metal parts appeared in the growing space, just like before. Then, with a heavy clinkings, they fused themselves to the first blade. In the end, they formed a ring, and a long trail of light stretched out to its right. A long blade split in half appeared alongside the light. What had started as a sort of hoe or shovel had now become a massive sword. Sharp and elegant, pure and destructive, terrible and beautiful. The impossibly large weapon was now held tightly in Senna's hands. The man with the backpack didn't react. He simply frowned and stared at Senna. The tone of his voice, which was high-pitched for a man, was arrogant and brash. He waved a hand, shooing her off. Senna quietly opened her mouth to speak. It was more of a rhetorical question than an actual one. Her eyes were locked on the man in the backpack. She started to get scared. The man went pale and stepped back, but didn't answer her question. The crowd continued to murmur, "Whose eyes are those?" without showing the slightest bit of interest in them. If anything, it seemed possible the crowd didn't even see them at all. Senna and the backpack man were both staring at each other. The first to look away was the backpack man. Oh, well, it sounds like you do know him. Heck yeah! Oh. Senna fell silent, swinging her sword around to her front and taking the fog stance, and bent her knees and leaned forward. Whoa. Swing. Swing. The sword glowed again. But instead of the pale light it had been at first, it was now red violet. Whoa. There was a sudden sound like a woman's high-pitched scream. The air shook. That wasn't any sort of metaphor or simile, huh? The air was physically moving. Oh, okay. The space itself had begun vibrating, centered around Senna's sword. Ooh, it's a big old tuning fork. Just kidding. The blade's red light had become so intense that it was hard to look at. Senna let out a small breath, and then she gritted her teeth hard. Chow. Whoa! The noise grew louder. Lightning bolts raced from the blade. A sonic wave blasted the air itself. The vibrant sound stopped immediately afterwards. But the blade was still flashing red, like a pulsing vein. Senna slowly pointed the sword toward the man with the backpack. The crowd around them, which had been ignoring them thus far, finally took notice. It seemed like they'd regained their senses, because they ran from the park without knowing what had happened. Senna ignored them, keeping her eyes fixed on the man with the backpack. The man had been indifferent before, but now he was very afraid. His face was pale, and he was slowly stepping away from her, shaking his head as if to say no.
待って、俺は畑野なんてやつ本当に知らないんだ。ただ指示されただけ。誤解するなと言ったはず。
Senna ignored the man's pleas.
質問したのはただの挨拶代わりだ。お前が何を答えたってそれを壊すことに変わりはない。
There was a fierce light in her eyes. The man with the backpack screamed pathetically before he turned and ran. But the direction he'd chosen was right toward the stampeding crowd. With nowhere to run, he froze. But then Senna had already leaped towards him, closing the distance in an instant. Whoa. She's beautiful. More. Her strike was quick and powerful. So strong and so fast that it was hard to believe. It came from her frail body. What? She looks tough. She swung her blade in an arc, slicing through the man's backpack and destroying what was inside. The impact blew the man backwards. He fell on the ground, curling up in a ball and shivering. He didn't have the strength left to run. He'd pissed himself in fear, and a damp spot was forming on his pants. Senna walked over to him, showing no interest in the man himself. Instead, she looked down toward what was left of his backpack. What's in there? There's a machine inside, shooting off small plumes of sparks. It looked like something was a bulky modem, but now it had been smashed to useless pieces by a Senna's sword. The loud mechanical noise emanating from it a moment ago was now nowhere to be heard. Whoa.
Nozomi.
She whispered this name to no one in particular. There was a hatred in her voice. As autumn grew deeper, the air got colder. It was hard to believe that I'd been wearing short sleeves just a short while ago. The sky above me was hazy, like its colors were starting to fade. The leaves in the park were brightly colored, though maybe the trees were stealing the color from the sky, possibly. I looked up at the sky and jammed a toothbrush in my mouth. Brush those teeth. The nice thing about the base was that I had the whole roof to myself without worrying that anybody would see me. The sink was on the shipping crates outside, which made it rough when it rained, but on the days when the weather was clear, I always brushed my teeth outdoors. I rubbed my sleepy eyes and brushed my teeth, remembering what happened yesterday. Rimi had stayed with me until late at night. She'd even held my hand for an hour or so. It had taken me to calm down. She'd gone home without anything else happening, though. A boy and a girl in the same room for hours and nothing romantic happened at all? Yeah, it's called platonic friendship. It's called just being platonic. If I had the conversational skills necessary to make something happen, though, I would have had a girlfriend ages ago. Maybe, I don't know. If anything else, I was disgusted at myself for hoping something would happen at all. Rimi was trying to help me purely as a friend. Remy offered to stay with me as one of the few things even keeping me together. Having that support made a huge difference. Despite the shock of Dr. Takashina dying on the brain-dead murder a day later, I was actually feeling fairly stable. Maybe it was because my head was full of all that stuff I'd read in the patient and court records. The power to project delusions into reality. Did it really exist? Was Shogun after me because I had it? If I did have that power, memories from when I was young came back to me. Memories. The day I hadn't been able to go to the field trip, the day I was the only one who didn't get on the accident. The bus had crashed and all my classmates had gotten hurt. My teacher, Mr. Sato, had died. I'd seen the images in my head so clearly. I couldn't see every detail that was. What was that? Really just me seeing the future? If maybe. That wasn't me seeing the future, but just my delusion. And what if I'd made the delusion a reality? My whole body felt like it was about to start shaking. I wrapped my arms around myself to keep my body still.
だとしたら僕は
I was a murderer! Remy was there. She was incredibly cheerful for it to be this early in the morning. Seeing her smile made my shaking stop. It was so strange. Normally, I couldn't stand being around 3D girls, but for some reason, being with Remy made me feel better. Probably because she's a real person. I don't know.
なんでポッカーンってしてるの？
Oh, right! According to my schedule, today was a school day when I told Remy about that yesterday.
迎えに来てあげるって言ったよね。
Right. Thanks to Shogun, I was afraid to even go outside. Now that Remy... Thanks to Shogun, I was afraid to even go outside now. That was why Remy had offered to stay with me. She was keeping her promise.
まさか本当に来るとは思わなかったとか？ビシッ残念でした。こう見えても私尽くすタイプなんだ。
Yeah. She gave me a mischievous wink. Was this an age game? No! No, it's not! This is real life! Oh my gosh! In the real world, your female classmates didn't come to pick you up on the way to school. It would have been even better if she'd come to my room when I was still asleep and woken me up. Oh my gosh. But you can't have everything, I guess. Yeah. Good. Hold on, I think I need to fix myself. I don't think it's picking up on my mouth a lot. Why not? I need to reset. Maybe. Let me look at this. Let me look at this real quick. Meow, meow, why? Yeah. As I lost myself in my silly delusion, Remy suddenly looked up at the sky. She was looking at something far away again.
冬の空が色あせたように見えるのはどうしてだと思う？
Sunlight contains a spectrum of 7 colors, the same colors seen in the rainbow. Excuse me. For those 7 colors to reach the human eye, they have to pass through the Earth's atmosphere. When that happens, a phenomenon. Dang it. That's a hard word. When that happens, a phenomenon. You know what? It's alright. Not everybody can say every word. When that happens, a phenomenon called scattering occurs. Basically, the light collides with the molecules in the air and gets bent in random directions. And when the light bends in random directions, it starts flying all over the place. The more it scatters, the easier it is for it to enter the human eye. The color which scattered the most easily were purple and blue. That's why the sky was blue. I am very smart. Yeah, go ahead, pat yourself on the back. Ooh, I'm very smart. But Remy's answer was very different from my dull scientific one.
きっと寒くてみんなが下を向いちゃうから青を望む人の数が減っちゃうの。
Remy had said something like that before, but what? When was it again?
だから寒くても上を向いて歩こう。
It quickly changed, and Remy and I left the Korean building together. Going to school with a girl was something normal. Oh my gosh, the fly almost flew in my mouth. Ah! Together, going to school with a girl was something normal people did. I was still scared of Shogun and Yua, and I hated them, and wished they would die. Oh my gosh. I meant it too. It wasn't just experience what a normal person's life was like. Oh wait, I was able to experience what a normal person's life was like. Maybe I could be a little grateful. Just a little. Or at least I tried to make myself think that way. But when I did, Dr. Takeshina's face came to me, and my joy, I felt, slipped away. It might have been my fault he was killed. Yeah, what'd you do? Huh? What'd you do? Why are you thinking it might be your fault, huh? Dr. Takeshina was connected to me, so Shogun had killed him, either as a warning or a way to provoke me. I was overcome with fear and worry. Little by little, I was starting to fall behind Remy. I took a quick glance at the back of her head. Ooh, gotta stretch. What kind of look was on her face? She was humming a song. It was a song from Phantasm's CD I'd lent her last night. Her steps looked light and carefree. We weren't even talking. How could she seem so happy? I don't know, just hanging out and stuff. Looking at her helped my worries a little. But to be honest, why was she being nice to me? Was the answer inside my memories of her? The ones that I didn't remember? When we got to school, I sent her on ahead and went to the bathroom. This was another survival technique of mine, going to the bathroom. It's bad to hold it in. I really appreciated that she was doing all this for me, but going to school with a girl in tow would mean standing out way too much. In particular, there was no telling what the Daikuns in my class would think. So to make it look like I'd come to school alone, I'd slipped into the bathroom and killed some time. This turned out not to work, however. I left the bathroom trying my best to act natural and kept my head down as I walked on the side of the hallway toward my classroom. Before I got there, though, I could see Ayase walking toward me. Our eyes met, her lips curved into a slight smile. Ayase was famous. I didn't want to risk attention by talking to her, but she stood in front of me, blocking my path. I didn't have a choice.
Takumi, あれから警察はどう?
Well, I didn't get arrested, so there's that. I put a hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. Why would you want to talk about something like that with all these people around? I quickly looked around. This was incredibly bad. Ayase was a local celebrity. It was rare enough for her to come to school, but not only that, she was a vocalist of the famous band Phantasm, and pretty to boot. Everyone, boys, girls, both were interested in her. Normally, there'd be no way she'd ever talk to a loser like me. The gaze of the people around me were causing me physical pain. I wanted to run away.
剣を探して。君はそうしなくちゃいけないのよ。
She always said the same thing whenever we met. There was a chance Ayase was on my side, but having her say the same damn thing every time was getting on my nerves. I wanted to find it too. I just didn't know how.
ヒントが欲しい。君はどうやってあれを手に入れた？
いつの間にかそこにあった。
Oh, yeah, thanks. That again. Was she screwing with me?
気づかなかったわ、最初は。でも、ちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら、匠にももう見えているのかも。見ていないだけで。
What the hell did that mean? Talking to Ayase was always exhausting. It was like some weird Zen koan thing.
剣はちゃんと探してるよ。僕だって絶対手に入れたいから。
I sighed as I answered, and then the gaze of the people around me grew too much to bear. I ran past Ayase and to the classroom. What I found there What I found there only made me feel worse. Mizumi and some of the other boys were staring at me in shock. Crap, they'd seen me talking to Ayase. This was bad. I didn't know what they were going to say. If I was lucky, they might just make fun of me. But there was also the chance they might do something a lot worse. I looked down and headed to my seat, trying to make myself as small as possible. Please, just let everyone leave me alone.
おいおいおい
My prayer went unheard.
タク、てめえいつの間に今、岸本と話してたよな
The most I could do was shut up. I couldn't look up.
岸本が誰かとまともに会話してるとこ初めて見たぜ一体どんな手使ったんだよ
Well, she came to talk to me. Please don't talk so loudly that the rest of the class can hear. Please just leave me alone. I'm not going to try and date Ayase or anything. It's not like I have any chance anyway. So please, just calm down.
なあタク、教えろって
大地
Rimi interrupted.
落ち着けタクが困ってるでしょ
Yeah. I'm a little piss baby.
あ悪い悪い
Remember? Mizumi dropped his voice low and patted me on the back. I sighed a little without looking up. Rimi had saved me again.
で、実際のところどうやったんだ
Well, you have to... Actually, no, I don't know how I did it either. Mizumi was, as always, a man who thought only of his little head. Excuse me.
もう大地ってほんと節操ないよねそのうち彼女さんに刺されるんじゃない
Yes.
心配すんなって俺こう見えても各種ケアは欠かさねえから
何それ
なあタク教えろよ岸本とはどんな感じなんだ
Mizumi was rubbing my shoulders. He wouldn't let me He wouldn't let the subject drop. I looked up afraid. Ooh, I'm so scared. Oh. Half the boys in the class were whispering to each other and glancing at me. This was bad. They were still looking at me. Don't look at me. I felt the prickling on the back of my neck of the Dakyuns come after me. I was just finished. My life would become a hell of bullying. What should I do? Run? Cut class and go home? But I couldn't go home alone. The thought of running into Shogun or Yua was too much for me. Have Rimi come with me? She said she was a caring and devoted type. If she wasn't lying, she'd skip school alongside me. I just need to get out of here as soon as possible. Suddenly, there was a loud noise at the entrance. Everyone turned to look at it. Let's all look at the door. It was the transfer student. She was rubbing her tear-stained eyes and bowing in apology to everyone she could see. As always, she was completely silent. She entered the room also fell silent at this sudden development. What had just happened?
今の見たか？
見た。一人で勝手に扉に激突してたね。
やっぱ梢ちゃんは可愛いな。
I never seen somebody with so klutzy outside of an anime.
また泣いた。大丈夫かな。すごい音してたけど。
Remy vanished. Oh, Remy whispered, worried and then headed to the transfer student faster than anybody else. She was pretty noisy from the look of it, or maybe kind was a better word. Oh, nosy.
リミに先越された。待て待て。梢ちゃんを解放するのは俺だ。
Okay. Mizumi shouted as he raced after her. Kozi's accident was for me. Was for me. Good luck. All the boys who'd been staring at me were now looking at her. GJ, a transfer student, but I'd happened to hear what some of the girls near me was saying.
うざ。何あれ。狙ってやってんじゃん。
Oh my gosh. Just a few faint whispers. Whoa.
視界にはデッドスポットと呼ばれる通常は使用されることのないいくつかの神経チャネルが存在することをご存知ですか？
それが第二世代と何か関係があるのかね？
そういうことになります。
Hey, the classroom people are still talking.
簡単な実験をしてみましょう。これをご覧ください。
Uh-huh.
子供騙しを聞いている暇はないぞ。
I'm a busy man. I can't look at this.
重要なことですよ。この図には左側にドット、右側にリングがあります。
Mm-hmm.
では、左目を手で覆って見えないようにしてください。
Okay, let me do that. I think my left eye is my bad eye. The eye I see the worst out of. Should I take my glasses off? My IRL ones. I can't take my VTuber models' glasses off because they're glued on forever. Okay. Oh yeah. Wait. I gotta
そのまま右目だけで
stare at the
図の
dot.
左側にあるドットを見つめてください。
Well, I can't do that because. Oh, do I cover up my left eye? And look at it with my good eye?
いかがですか？
Oh,
ドットを見つめる目の端の方にリングも存在しますか？
yes. I don't know.
いくらドットだけを見つめていても、隣にあるリングがついでに見えているのは当然だと思うがな。
では先生、ドットだけを見つめたままモニターに顔を近づけていってみてください。隣のリングはどうなりますか？
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Oh. Whoa!
興味深いね。
右側のリングが消えた。そうですね。
Like, no, the ring. here's what the ring did. Here, I'll show you. The ring did wow, and then it went wow, and then it went blow, and it went wow, and then it disappeared. Just kidding, that's not what happened.
これは視界が狭まったからではありません。その証拠に、さらにモニターに近づくことで、リングはまた視界に現れます。
これは一体どんなトリックだ？
いいえ、トリックの類ではありません。普段は使用されていないですが、人間が元から持っている目の機能の一つですよ。
Yeah. Unless you get close to things a lot. It's like an optical illusion, right?
これはデッドスポットと呼ばれ、
Oh. I tried it and it didn't work, so. And maybe my screen's too little. I also hit my elbow on the way.
ノアによって人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出す際に使用するチャネルなのです。
Whoa. We're in school. I don't know why I was impressed with it. Classes had ended, and I was standing in the school entrance. Twilight was spreading over the sky. Several crows were silently flying past me, flapping their wings as they receded into the distance. I was waiting for Rimi. She was on cleaning duty today. She hadn't promised to walk home with me today, but I was sure she would. I'd been standing there for over 15 minutes waiting for her. I wasn't sure what would happen tomorrow, but I'd made it to today. Mizumi had been so desperate to talk to the transfer student that he'd forgotten to ask me any more questions about ISA. Thank you so much, transfer student. Speak of the devil, and she'd come walking by. She bowed at me, looking like she was about to cry. I bowed back awkwardly. And then I watched her slowly walk toward the school gate. I realized again how small she was, and she had a body of a lily, okay. And she was a klutz too. I wasn't sure about her personality, but it was probably very sweet. She ticked all the moe checkboxes. But the other girls didn't like her, supposedly. I guess there's a difference between 2D and 3D. She ran back toward me.
わざわざ待っててくれたんだ。ありがとう。そんなに私と一緒に帰りたかった？
She looked at me with a grin. I quickly turned my head away. Thanks to the setting sun, she probably didn't realize how red my face was. It was less that I wanted to go home with her, and more that I was too scared to go home by myself. Even while I was waiting, I had been terrified that Yua might come lurking behind the corner. Rimi knew that, but she decided to be mean and ask anyway.
ああ、嘘でもいいからそうだって言ってほしかったな。ねえ、私さ。
Rimi suddenly looked off into the distance. Her eyes sparkled red with the light of the setting sun.
タクの力になれて結構嬉しいよ。
Well, that's nice.
ありがとう。
The words were out of my mouth before I even knew I'd said them. I really was grateful. Rimi was now somebody I couldn't live without. Until I found the D-Sword, she was all I had.
どういたしまして。
Rimi smiled happily and led me on.
さあ、帰ろう。
My school, Suzume Academy, was in the luxury residential district of Shoto. All the houses in the area were expensive and gave off a sense that people who lived there were important. But even though I was just a few minutes away from the heart of Shibuya, there weren't many people out. It felt kind of lonely.
タクって意外とモテるよね。
Yeah, for some reason. She startled me so much I was gasping for air. What the heck was she talking about?
あれ？自覚ない？
She smiled and pointed her finger at my nose. At my nose. Ooh. You weren't supposed to point at people, you know.
だってこの前はメガネかけた3年生の綺麗な人と一緒だったし。
あれは。
うん、昨日聞いた。タクに意地悪する人だよね。
If you knew that, then why?
で、今日はあのフェスと話してた。あと折原さん。転校してきた朝に真っ先にタクに声をかけてたよね。さらに今こうして私と一緒に帰ってる。ほら、モテモテだ。
This was something I'd been thinking about lately, too. Am I about to get a girlfriend? Is that a new, amazing chapter in my love life? Things like that. A month ago, I never would have thought it was possible. Back then, I'd never even had a chance to talk to any girls except Nanami. I'd even lied to myself and everybody by saying I wasn't interested in them. How come I'd had so many more chances to talk to girls over the past month? Excuse me. It had all started when Shogun had entered the chat room. So, a part of me wondered, was this whole past month just my delusion? Was I just having a long dream? It felt like things I was experiencing right now might all just vanish tomorrow. Sometimes it seemed that way anyway. Or had the person inside me changed? Maybe the person controlling me before, now, just loved to play by themselves, and the person controlling me now liked working with other characters. Either way, it was hard to believe that this past month was real. Too much had happened.
っていうか、私今日初めて知ったんだけど、フェスって同じ学校だったんだね。しかも同学年の隣のクラス。
Rimi's voice took an excited tone. She must really be a trend follower, or just like a fan of like the band or like the music. I don't know.
昨日タクから CD 借りたばっかりだからすごくびっくりしちゃった。それにすごく可愛い子だし。
Rimi came around to my front. Her tone dropped to a low hesitation one as she hesitant one as she spoke, still walking backwards.
何話してたの？ 今朝フェス岸本さんと聞かせてほしいな。私には聞く権利なんてないかもって思うけど、でも岸本さんと話してた時のタク、すごく思い詰めた様子だったから、なんだか心配で。
She'd even seen that too? Maybe it was safe to tell Remy everything. There wasn't anybody else I could talk to about it, and I was just getting tired of thinking about things on my own. I wanted somebody else's opinion. And not somebody like Ayase or Senna, who just say weird, abstract things and that didn't make sense. Somebody who could clearly tell me what they thought. But, well, when I talked to her yesterday, she hadn't believed a word I said.
話してたのはケンのこと。
ケンって昨日タクが言ってたやつ？
I nodded.
綾瀬は持ってるんだ。
何を？
A sword.
本物を。
Remy gasped, or I thought she did. Her eyes went wide, and she seemed to stagger a few steps, back a few steps.
嘘だ。
She sounded really doubtful.
だってあれおもちゃでしょ？
だから僕のはおもちゃだけど、彼女のは本物で、ライブ行けば見られ。
I stopped in mid-sentence. Could she see it? Ayase had also told me that only people with the right power could see the D-sword.
ライブに行けばその本物の剣を見られるの？じゃあ今度行ってみようかな。ファンタズムのライブそのものも見たいし。あ、タク一緒に行く？
見られないかも。限られた人にしか見えないらしいんだ。
そうなんだ。裸の王様みたいなものかな。じゃあ私バカだから見えないかもなんてね。
I wasn't sure if she could see it or not. I didn't know how a real D-sword worked anyway. I was just going off what Ayase had said.
そんな剣本当にあるのかな。やっぱり私信じられないよ。タクが見たっていう岸本さんの剣も本物っぽく見えるおもちゃじゃないの？
でも光ったし。
おもちゃでも光るやつはいくらでもあるよ。
Yeah, but it glows. Well, I couldn't deny that. You could just add some lights and get a glowing effect. But the way Senna and Ayase's sword had felt, so real, so powerful, I couldn't believe they were toys. They had an aura about them that a fake toy could never create. And more than that, Ayase had pulled the sword out of thin air. It wasn't super speed or hypnosis or anything fake like that. What I'd seen was a glimpse of an incredible power.
僕には妄想を現実に投影する力があるかも。
I was far from certain myself, but I decided to share with Remy the possibility that I'd been thinking about.
だから将軍に、狙われてる気がする。
There was no other reason for him to be coming after me, at least. There weren't many people out there as harmless as me. Most otaku are harmless. They're stuck in their own little worlds. If they had time to spend bothering people in the 3D world, they'd rather spend it having fun in their minds with 2D girls.
昨日調べてた特許のこと？タクはあんな装置持ってるの？
I shook my head.
そうじゃなくて、装置とかなくても力使えるかも。
タクからかってるんでしょ？あ、わかった。何かの漫画かアニメが元ネタ？
Rimi didn't believe me after all. But I had at least I had at least some reason to think it was true. That bus accident when I was in elementary school. I explained that to her too. I might be a murderer. I worried that telling Rimi might make her want to stay away from me, but I just couldn't keep it in anymore. I needed to share it with someone and get it off my chest. Rimi seemed lost in thought as she listened to me stammer out an explanation, and when I was done,
考えすぎだよ。
she just laughed it away.
そう考えてることだってタクの妄想なんだよ。わかってる？
Was I really overthinking it? I hoped so. But the weird feeling in the bottom of my heart, it just didn't go away. Meow. The office smelled like dust. It was on the second floor of an aging mixed-used building. Light poured in from the huge windows in the back of the Light poured in from the huge window on the back that covered the whole wall, making the dust in the air look like powder snow. That's a lot. That's a lot of dust. The letters on the window that read Trustworthiness Investigation Company Friesa cast shadows on the desk beneath it. There were 20 desks in all. Tightly crammed together, they were all piled high with folders and papers in a way you might expect to see in a publishing office. Most of the desks' occupants were out, with only 5 or 6 people there. But the reason wasn't because it was a Saturday. There was a schedule on the whiteboard next to the entrance, and it was packed tight with writing. Yasuji-ban opened the agency's door right at the end of lunch break. He walked in without knocking, but none of the people there had said a word. He gave them a friendly hey and hey there as he headed straight for the desk furthest in the back, where the heaviest woman sitting. Why do they gotta say it like that? Was sitting at her laptop.
Oh, Momo-chan, genki?
The woman he'd called Momo was Katsuko Momose. I think I did that right? The president of Frieza, she had an annoyed look on her face and refused to even look up.
バンちゃんまた来たの？
また来ました。やっと。ニュージェネについての新ネタ、ない。
たく、私は忙しいのよ。抱えてる案件が5万ってあるの。うちみたいな零細企業は土日返上で仕事しなくちゃいけないの。わかる？
Only then did she look up at him. When she saw the grin on his face, but when she saw the grin on his face, she put her hand up to her forehead and shook her head slightly.
ここは警察の秘密組織でも子会社でもないって何度も言ってるでしょうに。ただで情報もらえるなんて虫のいいこと考えてるんだろうけど、ここに来てる暇があるなら自分の足で何とかなさいな公務員さん。または依頼料を払うこと。予約表はみおちゃんにもらってちょうだい。
相変わらず冷てえ社長だな、おい。
Mimose's attitude seemed to have no effect whatsoever on Ban. He waved his fan indifferently. Ah! My cat's climbing on me! She wants attention.
この会社立ち上げるときにはあんなに協力してやったのによ。
I wonder if this will pick up my cat's face, cause she's like right next to my face. Although I guess there's no way I could get out of the way for her to. Oh.
あら、ワンちゃんも恩着せがましい人だわね。何年同じこと言い続ければ気が済むわけ？
じゃあ依頼料はこいつでどうかな。
And he has like a. Oh. My cat's being a silly little baby. She wants attention. You want attention? You want attention? Are you gonna meow? No, she's not gonna meow. Oh, there she goes. I don't know if you heard that. You gonna do it again? There you go. Where's the kitty? Oh, I guess she's not. She didn't answer. She usually does. There you go. Now I think I have to fix myself. Bum ba dum ba ba dum. Ben offered her a plastic bag with the logo of a local confectionery shop on it.
なんだ、あるなら最初から出してよ。いつも悪いわね。みおちゃん、お茶2つ持ってきて。
Mimose's attitude changed completely. She was called out to one of her employees and opened the bag to examine the goodies.
あら、栗羊羹、今が旬なのよね。わかってるじゃない。あ、ばんちゃん、そんなところに突っ立ってないで座って。
どうも。
I gotta say. Oh. Wait. I have a crush on both of them. Ben chuckled and pulled his chair. I'll go. Okay. Van chuckled as he pulled a chair over from a nearby desk and sat next to Momose. A female secretary brought over the 2 paper cups filled with hot tea.
で、なんか新ネタあるかい？
ちょっと待ちなさいって。
Yeah. Momose carefully peeled the wrapper off the bars, folded it up, and set it off to the side of her computer. Then she popped open her mouth and tossed the first piece of chestnut yokan in. Momose was a woman who loved Japanese confections. Whenever he wanted to know something, Ban had to bring her some kind of treat. Yeah.
おいしいわこれ。
I'll get her lots of treats too.
人に言えた義理じゃないけどよ。ちったダイエットしたらどうだい？俺といつまで経っても結婚できないぜ。
Oh my gosh.
本当に人に言えた義理じゃないわね。
Yeah.
私はもうとっくに今期は逃したわよ。
Momose shrugged and took a sip of her tea, then turned to Ban.
また新しいニュージェネ事件起きたわね。こんなところでサボってていいの？
そっちの調査は俺以外の全員が真剣に取り組んでるさ。俺は別のアプローチから真実に迫ってやるってね。
Yeah, he's going at it in like let's see. Well, I can't think of an angle. He was going 90 degrees, but now he's going 30 degrees? None of that made sense.
こっこつけちゃって似合わないわよ。
Ban decided to avoid the tea until it cooled down. He couldn't handle anything, food or drink that was too hot. The weather had turned cold, but he was still waving a fan at his face. It was a habit of his.
警察は G レートの線追ってるの？
They're not, I think. Will I line up? I don't think I'll... Yeah, there we go!
そうそう、G レートね。ありゃすごいな。ももちゃんの話の通りだったぜ。
私が嘘の情報を渡すわけないでしょうに。これでおまんま食べてるんだから。それで？
まあ、勝手に調べてるよ。
勝手にって。ちょっとばあちゃん！
Oh! Momose's voice echoed through the room. She was always a very forceful woman, and loud one at that. The employees at Risha were used to it, and none of them even raised an eyebrow at the noise. Not a day when Momose wasn't yelling at somebody. Ben had known for years, too, and had been on the receiving end of her yelling dozens of times. Ironically, his reaction was to pick at his ears. Momose's tone quickly dropped. This wasn't something she wanted anyone to hear. But the smile on her face that had been there when she was eating the yokan... Yeah. My cat scratched me. She grabbed my arm and dug her claws in. Why'd you do that? What, you want attention? Are you silly? She just reached over and did it. But the smiley face had been there when she was eating the yokan a moment ago, was now completely gone. It was replaced with a look of intense rage as she pointed to her finger in his face.
個人で追うのは危険だって言ったじゃない。政治に宗教に企業、どれだけ根深く関与してると思ってるの？この間テレビで G レートの講義をやった太田教授がどうなったか、あんたもよく知ってるでしょ。
ああ、貼り付けで殺された被害者だろ。何度も聞いたよ。
何度でも言ってやるわ。ええ、言ってやりますとも。あんたはいつも私の忠告を無視するんだから。それでいつも尻拭いさせられるのは私なんてたまったもんじゃないわ。
まあまあ、そうかなるなって。茶でも飲んで落ち着いたら。
Momose's reaction was to go for a second piece of chestnut yokan, not the tea.
大丈夫だって。一応諏訪と一緒に動いてるんで。
Why?
今はまだ G レートやらなんやらってな、突飛すぎて上を説得できねえなよ。
スワちゃんは確かに有能だし、しっかりしているけど、無理させたら承知しないわよ。
ももちゃんはいつから諏訪の保護者になったんだ？
パンちゃんの無謀な行動に未来ある若者が巻き込まれるのはかわいそうでしょうに。
あ、そうかい。
Ban shrugged. Oh, hold on. I might sneeze. No, I'm not. Ban shrugged. He tried taking a sip of tea, but it was still too hot. He winced in pain. Good.
しかし、バイオリズムが人を殺す凶器になるなんてこと、本当にありえるのかね？
前に説明したでしょうに。
実はいまいち理解しきれてねえんだわ。それってももちゃんお得意の電磁波と関係してるのか
Momose sighed and drank her tea. Unlike Ban, it didn't seem to bother her.
満月の夜の事件簿はよく知ってるでしょ。
まあな。
There were a lot of accidents and crimes on the night of the full moon. This wasn't an urban legend. It was something you could see for yourself just by looking at the Tokyo police statistics.
その満月以上の力でバイオリズムカーブが上昇したらどうなると思う？
興奮するってことだろ？
それだけ？渋谷は特殊な街なのよ。言ったでしょ。 GE レートが高ければバイオリズムカーブは上昇する。しかもその上昇値は満月の夜に影響する数値のおよそ6800倍。
なんとも想像しにくい数字だな。
比べ物にならないくらいすごいって考えとけばいいわ。
しかし、なんで今なんだい？
殺された太田教授が言っていたのは GE レートが半年前から急に増加しているせいってことね。地層の構造に大きな変化が起きない限りそんなことはありえないそうだけど。
変化ね。
そう、駅前のスクランブル交差点で火山が噴火するほどのエネルギーが必要なの。
火山？そんなに大きな力なのか？
それくらい今の GE レートはありえない状況なのよ。
そ それを世間に訴えようとした教授はニュージェネで殺された。
事件の前日に教授が出演する予定だったテレビ番組が急遽放送中止になった話知ってる？
確かか。
知り合いに NHK に勤めている人がいて聞かされたの。
国営放送の番組に圧力をかけられる立場なんてそうそうないぜ。
私も詳細についてはわからないわ。知ってたらとっくに告発してるだろうし。
Ben leaned forward, seemingly interested.
俺でも大体予想はつくさ。この際はっきり言っちゃってよ。
本気で聞きたい？社会の暗部に踏み込むことになるわよ。いいの？パンチャークビになるかもしれない。
俺はニュージェネ事件の犯人さえ捕まえられりゃそれでいいんだけどね。ま、どうするかは答えを聞いてから考えろ。
Momose sipped her tea using her left hand to type into the laptop. A document appeared on the LCD monitor. It contained a list of information she'd reached on her own.
名和と
ももちゃん、勘弁してくれ。俺はてっきり野党の名前が出てくると思ってたんだがな。よりによって。
Ben gave a sort of annoyed moan. But his eyes weren't laughing. But his eyes weren't laughing at all. They were filled with sharp insight of a detective.
下手したらこの国が揺らぐぜ。
Ooh, gotta stretch. I couldn't really ask Remy to come to the base over the weekend, so I spent the 2 days alone and afraid. On Friday, Remy had brought me enough food that I was able to spend the weekend entirely indoors, but I was still afraid enough that several times I almost sent her an email asking her to come over. In the end, I didn't, though. The only time I was released from my fear was the 30 minutes when I was watching the latest episode of Bloodtoon. Even with all this happening, I refused to give up Bloodtoon. If Remy was my pillar of support in the 3D world, then my 2D support was Bloodtoon. Or more specifically, Seriatan. Then, the Monday after I survived the weekend, I looked at the Phantasm community on Freepera and saw that something was going on. I quickly clicked on the link that sent me to Ad Channel, and the place was in an uproar. Whoa! Excuse me. Name: Anonymous Prophet in... The real name of Phantasm's FES is Kishimoto. She spent time in a mental institution, and when she was a kid, the hospital's name is AHM. Phantasm is finished. Whatever, buddy. KWSK? Whose eyes are those? LOL! What's a FES? NJD? AHM is an institution for real crazies. Another hater. Your trolling skills suck. You're gonna post a thread. You need a source. You're lying. FPS was never in a mental hospital. You should feel ashamed for slandering somebody like that. I've never seen or even heard of AHM. Screw you. Well, like, why would it be a bad thing if someone was in a mental hospital? It's not bad, I don't think. The one watching you was me, FES. Pound in the stank, pound in the stick. Pound it straight into their lying mouths. One of you haters is going to be the next new gen victim. One is legit. What? Oh. FES was hospitalized for a long time due to mental issues. The hospital put out a newsletter with pictures, poems, and essays from their patients. You can see a bunch of the poems she wrote in it. You can see one of the on the official site too. Her real name is blank Kishimoto, AHM, Arc Heart Medical Group. Yes! I thought you guys were in love with her. We were rivals for me then, I guess. It's real. Feeling the fire, one. There's even a goddamn photo. Announcement: Phantasm is splitting up. So is Phantasm finished? I really liked FES in a sexual way. Okay. I don't think you need to specify that. Unless she doesn't mind. Oh wait, but she's in high school, so yeah, don't. This must be an expression of the Great Will's guidance too, right? Those lyrics aren't in a Phantasm song, are they? The one watching you was me, I say Kishimoto. FES, please don't quit, I'm crying here. I kinda get it, every genius is supposed to be a little crazy, right? Okay. FES is gonna break up. I know it! We hold the black mass tonight. I FES 10. I guess Phantasm's finished though. Honestly, I think it's a better ending for them than singing with a major label and selling out. Any official comments from FES yet? You at Chan Versions can bitch online all you want and it won't change a thing. FES doesn't look at the past, only the future. The next prophecy of death is gonna be about you losers. Wait, what's the issue with this exactly? There's a person inside. That's you, isn't it, FES? You're desperate to keep your band running. We all knew FES was crazy to begin with. Who cares? FES had mental problems, huh? Honestly, I think that just makes her hotter. Okay. Calm down, guys. Yeah. This is all just a big troll by FES 10. Why are they freaking out this much? I think it should be a normal thing. You know? Cause like, maybe somebody needs, like, help, right? Although I guess these people are chronically online. But that doesn't excuse them. I went to the URL that 12 had posted. Arcart Medical Association was a long-established psychiatric facility that only treated the most severe patients. There was a picture of the hospital on the site, and it showed bars on the windows. It looked like an old prison. I wasn't sure if it even existed anymore. The homepage hadn't been updated for almost 4 years. But it's just like Atchin had said, the site had a picture of a young Ayase Kishimoto along with a poem she'd written.
綾瀬が精神病。
The body looks in the shadow of a wicked heart, a thing which cannot be seen. I try to get away from it, but this unending nightmare. Shall somebody become a blade and slash apart my body? A shield of indifference helps the people avoid the flames of war. The enemy of this newborn battlefield is the wicked one with the heart. Evil can sometimes have a will of its own and manifest in our world. I wasn't really shocked or anything. I'd gone to a mental hospital when I was in elementary school too. If anything, it made me feel a little closer to her. Yeah. She was just like me. Despite all her popularity, despite all her charisma, she was just like me. Having this in common made the idea that I had the same power she did, the power to project delusions into reality, feel more likely. It gave me courage and hope. But there was one problem. Until now, I'd blindly believed everything she'd said, but maybe that was a mistake. What she'd said about how to get a D-sword, even the fact that getting a D-sword would be what saved me, I started to doubt not what she'd shown me, but what she'd told me. Should I believe it or? I started in fright as my phone suddenly rang. Phones always love to surprise you when you were least expecting it. That's why I hated them. I sighed and picked it up. It was probably Nanami. She was probably calling to complain about something again. What a nuisance. I hit the accept call button and put the phone up to my ear without bothering to look at the number. Why did I do that? Why was this the one call where I didn't look at the number first? The melody coming out of the phone was an impossibly loud volume. An impossibly loud volume was. Toranse? I quickly looked at the number on the phone's LCD display. It was the same number. But how? I thought it wasn't in service anymore. I'd had Nanami call it, and there'd been a message saying so. Had the person behind this prank brought it back online?
どうしよう。
I looked around the room. If Rimi was here, she could give me some advice. But she wasn't. Of course not. Rimi was at school right now. I told her I wasn't going today, and she hadn't come to wake me up. The melody kept playing as I sat there freaking out. A whole minute had passed. When I'd had it up to my ears a moment ago, I could hear another faint sound besides Torianse. The sound of people walking, of car engines. So I had to So it had to be outside. Who was on the phone? I could only think of one person who'd pull a prank like this. Shogun. I turned to Suritan, who was standing next to my PC monitor for help.
どうしたらいいと思うセラ。
Suritan smiled, the way she always did.
切っちゃえばいいさ。無視無視。
Yeah.
そっか。そうだよね。その手があった。
I should have done that right from the start. I put my thumb to the end call button, but for some reason, I decided to listen to the Torianse melody just a little more before I hung up. It felt so strange. I wanted to hang up right now, but almost unconsciously, I put the hand with the phone up to my ear. It came in a flood from the receiver. An indescribable pain. A violent sound like a supersonic wave. The sound infected my body. My head felt an impact like it had been struck by lightning. My whole body froze. I screamed, but I couldn't even hear my own voice. I boiled over. My brain. My heart. They boiled and bubbled and started to melt. The pain tore through my body, ripping through my flesh. My mind turned to liquid and raced through my body, covering at my heart and exploding into a fine mist. It felt horrible, crazy. I couldn't even think about what had just happened to me. Wow. Wow. When Yua Kusunoki opened her eyes, she could see that all hell had broken loose in Class 3B, her class. Several of the students were lying on the ground. Their eyes had rolled back into their heads. They were foaming at the mouth, spasming and jerking. Several of the others were curled up into little balls, clutching their heads in pain. The rest were standing up one after another and leaving the room. Even though it was the middle of class, the teacher was too busy helping the ones who were having seizures to stop them. What? The students in the hallway were all yelling and in shock, but Yua didn't hear what they were saying. Her phone had been going off inside her skirt pocket. Her skirt has pockets? Oh yeah, she finally realized it was buzzing and slowly reached a hand toward it. She tried to stand up, but staggered and fell from her chair. She crouched and leaned against the wall. After putting her glasses back against her face, she pressed the answer call button and put the phone to her ear.
はい。はい。はあ。はい。一応大丈夫です。
She winced after she said that, then put a hand to her forehead. She could hear the voices of her classmates talking noisily outside, and her teacher shouting at the fallen students to wake up, but all this seemed to be happening very far away.
はい。あなたは、はい。は はい、そうですか。それで、
Her face suddenly turned pale as she gulped. She covered the phone with her hand and dropped her voice low. It was clear from her tone that whatever she'd heard had rattled her.
そんなわけないんです。だって、本当は。
She stopped and let her hood droop.
本当は私だったのに。
The noise outside grew louder. Everyone was looking at the same direction, pointing fingers with fearful expressions on their faces. The windows in the halls were rattling, like they'd been hit by a gust of wind.
はいそうです。私の妹です。はい、わかりました。
She bowed weakly, as if the person she was talking to was right in front of her, and hung up the phone. Then she looked up and toward the direction everyone was pointing.
空が
Hey there, Mr. Blue. It was like someone had poured white paint on a pool of water's surface. The muddied blue sky, the muddied blue of the sky was turning white. It was spreading at incredible speed. It was devouring the sky.
白く染まっていく。
Chapter 6. Okay. I think we're gonna go ahead and save this. And let's save it here. Oh yeah, we could just put it over chapter 1. Yes. Okay, and we'll pick this up next time. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming and watching. Bye-bye.